So today, so no worries, we solved all the issues we had. And I will be your MC for today. I'm Alessia, and I'm the marketing manager at lablab.ai. And today we'll have also two amazing speakers, which I will announce a bit later. And now let me start with introduction and with kickoff for this event. And by the way, I want to tell you that it will be like live communication today. So you will be able to write in the chat your questions, and I will be more than happy to transfer it to our speakers. And okay, so please, Max, click to the next slide, and I will introduce you quickly to the lablab.ai community, which is the organizer of this amazing workshop. So lablab, just in general, is a community of people who are interested in AI and who wants to build with AI. We are makers here, and we are here part of the movement of the innovations that AI will create. And in this community, you will be able to actually create these innovations by your hands, right? So here you come to work during the hackathons to build your projects and hopefully then to transfer them to the market. So we are a community that will help you with in your way on building your AI startup as well. And what will be happening during today's workshop? First of all, as I told, it's live communication, so feel free to write in the chat and to communicate with us. And today we'll have two speakers who will transfer you some topics, who will speak on the topics that are crucial for startups. We have Farid, who is already in the call, but I will invite him later, so you will see him as well. And he will give you a portion of motivation for the startup. And Farid is the winner of one of the hackathon, which is Stability AI hackathon at LabLab. And he will probably share a bit of his success, maybe the secret of it, and he'll give you some version of motivation. And after that, we'll have Simon Olson, who is the co-founder at New Native and LabLab. And he will be talking about investment as it's his topic actually. And he'll be telling you what our investor expect from you as a startup and give you some, some just overview on the field, so you will understand what do you need to prepare and what actually waits for you on this journey. And probably without further ado, I want to invite Farid to the stage. Farid, I know you're already waiting for a long time and you're so excited to join. Hello.
Thank you very much, Alicia, for the invitation. I would like to thank LabLab also for the opportunity to present this short list of tips for a startup based on my experience and based on experience of other people who started the startup around me, or based on also in the learning that I acquired during my journey. So I can start right away by
Yeah, sure.
jumping directly to the presentation. So first of all, this presentation, it's like a quick list of tips for people who are interested in building their startup, or they are already in the process. I think there are some learning content that can be leveraged to shortcut and to avoid roadblocks down the road. A bit about myself: I have a PhD in biomedical engineering. I worked as a researcher at the University of Montreal here in Canada, and I built a couple of softwares in medical imaging, and I also act as an AI advisor for companies, either in the business strategy or computer vision and NLP. I also mentor people who are interested in getting in the AI space. So I have many mentees that I helped to rise to the top 1% AI practitioners, and they at the end they end up having like a very exciting positions at like top companies like Qualcomm or Huawei, and also some interesting startup there in the AI space. So to jump directly to the to the presentation, I think uh, some interesting points to start with is already to try to figure out what are the like the winning strategies. The first thing that I think of is don't quit your job too early. Very often, like we are so excited to start our startup that we just jump off the boat, and then we decide, okay, I'm going to quit my job, and then I'm going to build my product and my startup, and I'll start earning like revenue. It's not always that way in practice, so it's better to make sure that you still have like a regular revenue that can sustain the development of your product and your company. So we were, I think, at the ideation, so generating ideas. So the here, like the goal here is to try to figure out what idea can stick, can be translated to like a profitable product. And so once we generate ideas, we need to make sure that that our idea, when it's translated to a product, it has to fit that there is a market there. Otherwise, there's like no point of building a product that doesn't have like users. It's it's like the opposite of the like the saying of build it and then they will come. It's rarely the case. So it's super important to spend some time in finding your product market fit, because your success depends on it. Then the next stage would be to build an MVP. So this is like the minimum viable product, and just to be able to bring it to your user and assess it and to test your ideas on the battlefield there. Uh, Another super important point here is to focus on sales too. At the same time that we are creating our product, it's super important that we don't lose focus on the end goal of all this like adventure is to generate money. So if we are not willing, or we are not ready to generate sales, automatically our like venture is going to fail down the road. And one way to make sure that we are following the right strategy and the right steps is to find a group where we will be accountable. So not just working in like in our own bubble and not having any interaction with other people who would like call us out, you know. Um, then here's I want to list like the typical pitfalls when we start like a venture or building a product or startup. Very often we lack of focus. We find ourselves chasing like so many rabbit holes, and that's not like the best strategy to be able to build like a product in a timely fashion. Procrastination is also your enemy, because very often we will find like excuses to not focus on the end goal of building very quickly our product, and then we end up spending time in searching, researching, and learning, and finding all kind of excuse to postpone like the development of our product and putting it in the hands of our end users. So another thing is chasing shiny objects, and we have to pay attention not to follow like the to be affected by the herd effect. And one example, one concrete example these days is, for example, Chat GPT is everywhere, so everybody's like uh, is very excited about Chat GPT and trying to build like apps around that and so on. And when you see some successful stories, you think, okay, so I should do the same thing. Sometimes we have to pause and to assess, is it like the right strategy for me? Is it like a good product market fit in my own case, use case, you know. Another thing is to avoid developing something in a bubble and not going and seeking for a user feedback. So very often we as a developer or technical people, we like to build stuff and we think that our idea is great, but we forget to go and validate those ideas or those products with our user base, because at the end, it's what the user needs that is going to drive your sales, and not like shiny ideas or like exciting ideas that you find. Also, this is also a trait for technical people, is to focus on building like a feature-centric products. So building feature on top of another feature and so on. And so you end up each time you have an interaction either with other developers or just one single user, and you think they propose you like, oh, this is a feature that would be like exciting to have in this product, and we jump into the development of this new feature, and we forget that to validate, is this worth our time or not? Is there really a driving demand there or not? So it's super important to always pause and reflect on every single feature that we want to add to our product. And another super important point is neglecting marketing, sales, and psychology. And this is also a problem with technical people. They don't pay attention to those because they are not attracted. Those aspects are less attractive for developers. They are not interested in marketing, in sales, and psychology, and so on. So they end up neglecting those aspects. And at the end, that's like a good recipe for failure. Um, Now, how to build a successful product is to focus on providing solution to customers, not features. Uh, your customers or user are not interested in your features. They are interested on how to solve their problems. So you are a solution builder and not a feature shop builder. Building also an operating system for efficiency. And what it means is that you shouldn't focus on your goals. You should focus on building a system that will help you to reach your goals. So by having like a very efficient system, your goals are going to be fulfilled. Like it's just a consequence. So, and it's super important to build your MVP fast, to bring it to your user and to let them test it and get some feedback from them. So you need to always try to seek for user feedback from at an early stage, and also to incorporate in your workflow this short feedback loop, because this is how you're going to find out what are like the pain point for your customers and what are the solutions that are going to help them to get to their goal and consequently like acquire new customers and enlarging your customer base. Be prepared to be wrong and quickly adjust your course. And sometimes we are so obsessed about like our features or our way of thinking, and then we don't pay attention to what the market is telling us. So we have to be prepared and to admit that sometimes we take wrong decisions, and we have to recognize them very quickly and to adjust our course. It's also important to have some success metrics from the beginning and to be able to measure and track your success and your growth on a weekly basis. That would be like the ideal situation. And this is how you're going to be able to adjust your course and to come up with efficient solution and so on, and to identify, for example, your blind spots and so on. Now, a list of source of ideation could be first, we need to understand our users' pain points. And very often, we need to listen to their complaints and ignore their solutions, because you are the person who's going to develop the solution. And very often, if we take literally like their solution proposal, very often it's not like the best way. You know better like your tech stack and what is possible, what is not possible, and so on. So you should focus on listening on their complaints and then go and search and try to build a solution for those problems and complaints. It's like ideal to be embedded in your customer communities. And the reason is very simple. By being part of their communities, you're going to learn what are the pain points, because they are going to share their pain points in those communities, and you are going to identify those complaints and pain points very quickly, and then you can uh, have the opportunity to start finding like solution for those pain points. Building an audience is ideal, because then you own that audience and you can drive like the conversation by asking for feedback, by testing ideas and so on. But it's also important to be embedded in other communities where your customers hang around, you know. Survey your potential customers. It's a very effective and a very cheap way to get feedback from your customers, and also to generate ideas and to identify, for example, uh, problems with your current, for example, MVP and so on. And these days, it's super easy to build like surveys, like there are free options, and you can collect a lot of information without spending like a dime there. Now for finding product market fit, there are like 4 points that are quite important there. So the first one is defining your initial product strategy. So you need to set like strategy from day one, and then you need to validate that strategy by assessing like the riskiest assumption, and by evaluating them, you're going to avoid like either pitfalls or avoid like big problems down the road, you know. quantitatively measuring your product market fit by using concrete metrics, as I mentioned in the previous slide, and also developing traction. So while we are building this product market fit, we need to start creating like a traction for our product. So we need to identify our initial user base, and also find like a accelerator for your customer, building like new customer audience and so on. For marketing your product is going to be crucial during your adventure. And you have to remember that roughly 20% of your customers represent 80% of your total revenue. And the top 4% represent 64%. So you need to identify those top customers and focus at your early stage. You should focus on those top customers, and you need to find like a strategy to attract more customers that corresponds to those 20%, or even better to those 4%. And you need to eliminate those that generate less revenue for your company, because very often the rest of the customer, let's say the 80%, they can eat up a lot of your resources. So it's better from the beginning to have a strategy to identify your top users and your top customers. You're going to increase your revenue and accelerate your growth very quickly that way. So in general, there are studies that shows that 3% of your potential customers are ready to buy. So the 97%, you need to know them, and you need to find a way how to attract them and how to bring them to your top funnel. So 60% are not even aware of the problem. So you, as a product developer or a startup, you need to spend some time in educating your potential users to make them realize what's the problem that they are facing and how you can solve them using your product. There are 20% that are problem aware. So here it's easier to reach out to them and to convince them. And there's 17% who are at the information gathering mode. When they are at that stage, it means that you can set like a kind of funnel to attract them to your product and to try to convert them, like the 3% who are ready to buy. So the idea is to move each like a group of those potential customer, to move them gradually to the next step until you get them to the final step that corresponds to buying your product. So making sales and marketing your top priority is going to save your business and to make your business thrive, because those are like two things that are going to drive your revenues. So as like a technical person, you should be aware of that, and either you have to invest some time to improve your sales and marketing skills, or you partner with other people who are like expert or specialized in sales and marketing who are going to take that part off your shoulders and drive the sales and the marketing for your company. So this is like a good strategy that you can use is to start from your target revenue and work your way down. And to give you an example, if, for example, you think that generating $10,000 per month is like the minimum that you need to have like a sustainable company, then you need to figure out how you can generate those $10,000. So it can be, for example, you can say, I need 1,000 users that would pay $10 per month. So after you figure that out, and or it can be 100 for 100 and so on. So you have to figure out, let's say it's just 1,000 users at $10 per month. That means that you have to find those 1,000 customers, and to find those 1,000 customers, most likely you need to have like several dozens, thousands of like potential customers to convert them to real like paying customers. So this is how you're going to establish your strategy to go and get and generate those 1,000 customers. So marketing, sales, and psychology, you need to leverage them from day one. You need to build like a funnel at an early stage. And a funnel is by building, for example, an audience. You can reach out to your potential customer through cold emails or through a newsletter or through the community that you build and so on. And then you should like continuously asking them to get feedback through surveys, and that way you're going to collect valuable information, valuable data for your own product and company. You also need to have like a pricing strategy right from the beginning. Very often, like startups and founders, they neglect that part. They are focused in building the product, and they forget about setting like what is my pricing strategy? How much money do I need to generate to have a viable company? And how am I going to structure my pricing? Should I have like a free tier? Should I have like just a trial like a tier and then move them directly to the paying customers? For your paying customers, probably you will need to have like a different price range, and that way you can maximize like your potential customer base. It's also good to think about how you can find your market accelerators. So you need to find like partners with large audience, for example, who will help you to access to their customers, because those partners, they already have an established audience. And by partnering with them and giving them like a share there because they are going to give you that access to their customer, it can be a very good accelerator for your company, and it can generate like a lot of money at an early stage, and which is very difficult to do as like a startup if you want to build your customer base on your own. It's a very challenging. It's not impossible, but it's very challenging, and it might take some time. Now there is also a way to buy time and to save money. And the way that we can do that is to learn from others' experience. I would say before I present like the different suggestion there, LabLab is an example, for example, where you can learn a lot because they organize hackathons. Hackathons are really like a very good way to accelerate building an MVP because you have a time constraint, you have the competition with other teams and so on. So it's super motivating for you to build an MVP and to test your idea. And also, thanks to the hackathon, you have like a group of like experts from different fields, from different companies who are going to give you feedback. So if you manage to get to the top 3, for example, so that means that your idea is very interesting and it has been evaluated by like an expert in that domain. So I think leveraging LabLab platform could be really a good way to learn fast and also to build MVP and so on. There are other ones, and the indie hackers community is a good example. You can go and check their website, and they have like a large resources there. They have a community of builders. You can see from the screenshot, they have almost 40,000 indie hackers in that community. And they have different groups. So you will find a group that correspond to your startup stage, as a beginner or someone who's seeking for growth advices and so on. And they share a lot of like lessons and experience and so on. So it's a good way to fast forward your learning, and you fast forward also your startup success. There is another one that is called Everything Marketplaces community, and it's also a good place where you can join other people who are founders or leaders in the startup space. And you can see on the right, there are some really good resources there. There are guides, tutorials, and toolkits, and so on. So you can leverage that, and because it's super important not to be like in your bubble and just trying by yourself. So leveraging the experience of the other people and building on top of their success is going to be like a very good catalyzer for your own like use case. There's another one that is called Acquire. Acquire, it used to be called Micro Acquire, and they changed the name. And this is like a platform for people who are interested in selling or buying like a startup and SaaS and company and so on. But they also have blogs and so on. So it can be like beneficial for you to be familiar with that platform from day one, because you never know if your startup is so successful. Then you already know what are the next steps if you are interested in like to move to an exit or so. So you can leverage that platform for your own startup and your own company. So that's it. That's all what I have for you today. And just if you want to connect, this is like the 3 places where you can find me. There's my website. It's called fastpath.one, and otherwise you can find me on Twitter or on LinkedIn. Okay, on LinkedIn, I forget to, this is the copy paste trouble. So you can find me on LinkedIn under my full name, Farid Hassainia, there. Thank you very much for your attention. And if you have any question, I will be more than happy to answer them.
Thank you, Farid. It was super informative for me as well. I have some notes even. I hope you can share the presentation right after So people was asking in the chat, is it possible to have it after the talk?
Okay, no problem.
All right, thank you so much. We'll share it in the community, guys, so you will be able to access to this. And we have a lot of questions. I guess we do not have so much time to answer for all of them, but I will ask you just a few that is probably very common, and you try to just answer fast so we can, have more questions there to answer. And you was talking about product market fit, and there is a question regarding some tools and how actually to define this product market fit in more data-driven way.
So the idea here is to be able to figure out if what we are building correspond to our market fit. And the one way to do it, I think, in a quantitative way, is to always survey your potential customers.
Mm-hmm.
So you can build, for example, an online survey, and that you leave it there for your user, and you guide them and you encourage them to go and answer those questions. And by answering those questions, you're going to figure out if you are following like the optimal path or not. And this is really like a good strategy and a cheap, it doesn't cost that much to build it. There are some tools where you have to pay a platform, but I think as a startup, if you want to save money, you can just use Google Forms, for example, and you collect those data, and then you can analyze them with your team, and after that you can go back and interview the user to clarify uh, things that are not very clear, that are not clearly expressed by your user base. So I think this is one of the optimal strategy to get some data there.
All right, so you mean to ask your customers, right, first. So if you have some user base, you may ask them, is it the product market? Okay. So
Yes,
actually
and
product market, okay.
sorry, even your potential customers, those who are not your customer or user yet, just
Mm-hmm.
to tell them, by the way, I have a survey here, and I noticed that you face this kind of problems. Do you can you, for example, you try to find questions that try to figure out what are
Mm-hmm.
the concrete pain point there, and what
Okay.
kind of solution you can develop.
So product market fit is basically to find the problem and is your solution fits to the problem, right?
Exactly.
All right.
You,
Now I
you
get
need
it.
to find like a match between your product
Mm-hmm.
and your market fit, because very often, if we build it the way that we say, for example, build it and they will come,
Okay.
most likely you
They
will
will not.
most likely end up like for a market that doesn't exist at all, because we are solving a problem that is not crucial. It's not it's not crucial for our users.
Okay. Thank you for that, for
No
clarifying,
problem.
especially. There is a question about 4% and 80/20.
Ah,
Is it possible somehow to divide this percent to not make it like 20/80, make it, like more diverse, or it's always will be like that? So it's like golden rule for every business.
so those are not like hard numbers, just to be clear, but it's based on some studies, and there is like the obvious rule of 2080, but there are also studies that showed that your top 4% are going to generate your 64%. So the idea is to figure out who are the top 4%.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I answered
Yeah,
like
probably. So
to the
it's some like
questions.
golden rule, right? So it will be for every business, and What should I do with this 4%? It's probably the main question. Should I focus my business on them, or should I don't know, make a special program for them? Because that's people with money probably, so they give me money for my business. So what should I do when I know who is my 4%?
So those you need to be very close to that part of your customers, and try to make sure that you're responding to their needs, you know, and to
Okay.
make sure that there's less churn for that part, because they cost you a lot if they churn. So if they leave your service, you're going to lose a lot of money. So you have to pay attention to find mechanism. For example, you have like a special technical support for them. You know, you give them a little bit more than the rest because they are generating 64%. So you could say, I'm just giving like a concrete example, that you have an ask me anything. For example, you give them free consultation once a month, or once you have to figure out what is the right frequency there, and to make sure that they are happy about your service, you know, because the rest, for example, if you have like an 80% and they generate less than, let's say 10 or 20%, those are eating a lot of your resources. So you have to figure out how to find either to move them to the next tier, or find even better, try to find those 4% or those 20%. So your focus is the 20%, and more importantly, the 4%.
All right. Now, thank you again for clarifying. It's actually very
My pleasure.
valuable, when we got it. Okay, there is another question which is very good. So, should we build a product that specialize on some like small niche, tiny niche, or should we build a product that will be available for everybody and will be useful for like on a huge user base?
Yeah, it's not a satisfactory answer, but it depends. So having a large base, it means that you're going to have you're going to service a lot of people. So let's say, if we say a large niche, 10,000 or 20,000 users. So you have to figure out, do I have the enough resources to give them like an excellent service? Because if they come and they churn after 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, then you are in big trouble, because you are spending your time in generating just like new customers all the time, and it's exhausting. And so maybe the solution is to focus on a niche where you have just like, let's say, 1,000 or 2,000 customers, but that 1,000 customer, they are willing to pay, for example, $50 per month, or $100 per month, because you are providing them like a top service, and a service that they cannot uh, like uh, live without it. If you can build something like that, so it's better to have like a smaller niche. And also, by building a smaller niche, like the big players are not going to be interested in going and getting your 1,000 customers, you know. But if you have like 20,000 customers, of course, other players, they will see, oh, this is a big market. Let's go and compete with this like smaller player, and we can like make sure that he's out of the market in a couple of months or so.
All right. Can be also divided by, are you focused on some specific user to solve the problem of some user, or you focusing more on service? Because now I'm thinking about the example, for example, like app for sign a document, or app for converting audio to video to audio, something like that. So it's some app with really wide audience. And also you may create app to, I don't know, book a hotels. So it will also depends because in the probably in the first option you need to focus on a lot of users, and on the second you need really to pick the tiny market to succeed. Probably that might be the case of diverse.
Yeah, but focusing on a big market, it really depends on the resources that you have. So if you
Mm-hmm.
have a lot of resources, for example, you have like you're able to iterate fast, meaning that your product is always competitive with the
Mm-hmm.
your other players, and also you can service well your user base because
Yeah.
if if you end up having like 20,000 customers and most of them are not satisfied, but they can just go and give you like bad reviews, and people pay more attention to bad reviews than to the good reviews. You know, there are studies that shows that it has like it's like 12 times more damaging because the people are going to rely their decision of buying or not buying based on reviews, and if you have many like negative reviews, then you end up having like less potential users there.
All right. Thank you for this. And we are moving on to, okay, it will be like question before the last one. And it's pretty important because people are asking how to find a good solution if I'm an engineer, I'm not a marketer, so how to sell my product to the market, something like that. And we also have this discussion inside of our LabLab team and during the hackathon because it should we okay, our opinion is that really good team is team that consists of engineers and people from more non-tech background, kind of marketing or business. And on the other hand, if you have team of engineers, it's much more faster and easier to build a product in the short period of time. So probably for the hackathon, people consider that it might be better. What's your opinion to build a successful business? Should it team consist of also non-tech people, or it's also will work when it's only engineers in the team?
My view on that is that we should have non-technical people in our team from day one. So we need to have like a expert in marketing and sales because that's what going to drive our revenue. It's not it's not because we build like the best product that we will be able to sell it. And if we don't have the skills and we are not inclined to learn and to understand how we sell, we are going just to miss our target. We are going to build like the
Mm-hmm.
best product, but it will be sitting there and no user is going to, or very few user are going to use it. But if we have from day one, like marketing and sales, like people or team, it means that those people are going to try already to figure out how we can generate the revenues. And they are going also to play a role between your users and your development, like the development team. And it's good to have like a sales and marketing as one entity because very often people have like someone who does like the marketing and someone who does the sales, and the one who does just the sales are trying just to sell, and they don't care
Mm-hmm.
if finally the product is going to be good or not because they have like a percentage of the sales. So their motivation is to generate just sales. So it's good that it's aligned with like the value of your company, that we need to make sure that we are bringing the right users, because if you put it in the hands of just a salesperson, he's going to, or she's going to sell it to any person who's willing to buy. So it's a very good like exercise to be able to match like the expectation and the reality of your product. But to go back to the initial questions, I think it's super important to have like non-technical people in your team from day one.
Thank you so much. Yeah, supporting
I
our
think
team as well in this. So yeah, guys, if you're creating team for the hackathon, it's really important to have non-tech people to make it faster and to make it much more successful, I would say. And there is
absolutely.
also,
I want just
yeah,
to add
go on.
to for the lab hackathon. By integrating like non-technical people, you are going to have an insight of your product right away because they are going. You ask them, be our user, our first
Hmm.
user, and someone who can critic our product, so they can help you. And so we cannot say, oh, they are not going to bring anything in our team. They can do that. They can do that if you give them like the opportunity to do, or if you guide them and explain them your expectation there.
And even if you do not have a non-technical people in the team, still the community itself, it's a very huge, power in giving you feedback for your product and being a first user. On LabLab for now, we have more than 25K of people already building on the platform. So you probably may find 100 of them who will just be your first user and give you real good feedback for this. All right,
Absolutely.
thank you. Thank you for that. And also, I have just a comment for one of the questions regarding marketing. And the person writing, can ChatGPT help me with marketing and sales? As from the start, is there is a little money for marketing in the beginning. And first of all, I answered, and I guess ChatGPT can try to help for sure because it's using all the open information. So there is a few very good articles in marketing strategy, so it definitely can give you some tips. But I want to explain, as I'm a marketer, it's really the pain point that people usually associate marketing as just making posts on social media and paid advertisement, but it's not. So very important stuff as a strategy, as even product market fit, which is also part of the marketing. So the marketing people need to define the product, define the value, define the pain points of users, and bring it to the market in the way people will understand what the product is about. So you will definitely need to use some tools, especially generative AI tools that will help you with your marketing, but you can't replace even from the beginning marketing by generative AI. So you need to have a person that will like be deeply in your product and understand its mission and how to sell it to the people as well.
Yeah, I agree
All
on
right.
that. I think you can leverage ChatGPT for your marketing, for example, in generating your landing pages, your
Yeah.
pitch, and so on. But as you said, it's important to have someone who's going to be there because it's going to talk to your user. It's not a bot.
Yeah.
Maybe one day we can use that, the a bot to, but I think at this stage, it's good to have a resource there that can help us to market and to sell our products.
All right. And there is a question regarding what does it mean non-technical? So non-technical is people who are not engineers. So it's business background, marketing, sales, whatever, like copywriters. So people who are not good in engineering, in making apps, actually coding. And I have the final question for you. To don't waste the time because we're already like for a long here. Um, what is the difference as we're now on the wave of innovations with AI and it can really speed up a lot of processes in creating a startup as well? So, what is the difference, in your opinion, between just a general startup and AI startup? I mean, difference in the process of entering the market, on preparation, everything. So, what is your opinion on that?
I think an AI startup has the advantage of being like uh, in in contact with the technology, with the innovation. They are more susceptible to leverage that very quickly because they understand, for example, the potential and the limitation.
Mm-hmm.
So they have more information than an outsider who read just like the headlines and think that okay, we can just leverage AI like that and it's going to solve all my problems, or it's going to create many problems for my business and so on. So being in the AI space give you like an unfair advantage in reality, because for example, if you're familiar with NLP, you're going to understand, for example, that for example, generative models are going to hallucinate. All the answers are not like 100% sure, so we have to find mechanism to double check, to fact check them, and so on. What are like the platforms, the promising like libraries that are out there that you can use right now to in your production? And those, for example, platforms, they are not even like a lot of people are not familiar with them, even in the AI
Yeah.
space. Yeah, you see, so it it creates like an unfair advantage for you if you are familiar with AI and you are interested in building a startup. So we'll have AI, a startup most likely has more chance to succeed in the AI, like the for the as a next stage startup than someone who's not yet familiar with that.
All right. And I would also add on top of it that it can speed up the process of creation MVP and startup in general a lot, because now you have the tools can make all the actual process, even coding, much more faster. And as even ChatGPT or Codex by OpenAI, that can be your like code assistant. So it's just really possible to build your product MVP for sure in 7 days during the hackathon, but whole product can be built in the months and in very good quality if you're ready to learn and ready to be educated in this space
Uh,
as well.
I would just add like a caveat there. It's not because we are technical or we are like familiar with AI that we are going to win like systematically. Because I saw some examples where someone who is not familiar at all with AI, but they were very fast in building like an app and put it on the market. And one of them is the avatars on social media profiles.
Yeah,
And that person is not an AI at all, but he has an advantage, an unfair advantage in building like very quickly SaaS companies and products. So we have to also take that into account. Sometimes too much information can paralyze us, and we spend too much time in building like the perfect solution. And someone who is not technical and focused on just the product is going to surpass us
yeah.
very quickly. So we should not neglect like our blind spots there. So
I completely agree with you. Yeah, that's true. All right, I'm really grateful for you for joining us today, and I enjoyed the conversation as well for Q&A session. Thank you for this information and that you give to us, and I hope we'll stay tuned with you as well. And as you're the winner of the hackathon, you're a really big part of the community, so we are thankful for joining us today, and people in the chat